Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Brian with another knife review for you. Today, we have the Kershaw Norad. This is a brand new for 2020 model from Kershaw. I apologize that it took me a hot minute to get my hands on one. I was going through Southern Edge Knife Works. They ordered some. They got delayed because of all the stuff that's going on and the shipping error and whatnot. And I finally got it, and I'm very happy to have it. And thank you to Southern Edge Knife Works for getting this to me. By the way, if you go to southernedgeknifeworks.com, use the code SDSEK at checkout, you get 15% off and free shipping in the continental US, and not too shabby at all. Now back to the knife after the plug is over. We have for $67.95, you're getting a D2 steel. You're getting a stainless steel frame lock with these carbon fiber inserts. Nice deep carry pocket clip. I do really like this finish on the blade and stuff, very classy looking. It is a stainless steel frame lock, so it is a bit heavy, 5.2 ounces. We'll talk a lot more about that when we get to the carry. But they did make their effort. They milled it out. They milled it out not just on the inside, but also on the outside to put these little carbon-like substance on here. I don't mind the look of them that much. They're a bit too shiny and fake looking for me, but the problem is the fit and finish on this is excellent, except for around these things. You can clearly see it in the camera there. They're not rough or anything, but you can just see gaps. I don't care for that much. I don't think there's one on the, yeah, there's even on this side. You can see a little bit of it. Yeah, it's just, I don't care for that very much. They could have just done without it. I don't know, just made these grooves longer or deeper or something to drop that weight if that's what they were looking for. I do like to carry the carbon fiber over to the lock side, but I just don't care for the look of those. I do like the look of the pivot. That's very nice. Overall, it's a good looking knife from this far away, but not so much from up that close. You do have a full GFN backspacer or FRN, whatever they call it. I like the look of it overall. Like I said, from a small distance up close, some of the details sort of fail it. But it is a very solidly constructed knife. And I did take this apart. There is a disassembly video at the end of this, by the way. You probably saw that in the title. I'm going to timestamp to that. So if you're searching for this later and you just want to see the disassembly and don't want to watch the review, timestamp's down there so you can skip ahead to it. I did disassemble this, but it was still perfectly centered and everything out of the box. You'll see that in the disassembly. And the action was pretty good. I made it a little bit better. It was kind of gummy inside. This is a Chinese-made knife. It's not uncommon to sometimes get ball bearing flippers with just some kind of weird goo. A lot of companies use the same kind of gelatinous sort of grease. This was full of that. Got rid of that, and now it's a little bit better than it was. Not a dramatic difference, but nonetheless. All right, let's do some specs and size comparisons before we go too much farther. And we are going to show some of the other Kershaw budget models here in a moment, because Kershaw's doing a whole lot in 2020, absolutely for sure. Okay, start with our usuals and the size comparisons. No, let's do the stats first. I almost got on my own order there. We have an overall length of 7.9 inches, a blade length of 3.25 inches, blade thickness of 0.13 inches, handle thickness of 0.43 inches, and as I said, weight of a fairly hefty 5.2 ounces. Now to the size comparisons. We have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2 and Para 3, two of our usuals. And we're going to skip our Benchmade sandwich because I want to get to some other kind of budgety stuff. We have your Ontario Rat Model 1 and Rat Model 2. You can see it sits pretty much between those. And now we will bring out a couple of other Chinese budget flipper knives that I think are worthy of comparison. We have your CV Backlash and the Best Tech Texel. These are like $48 and $52 respectively, I believe. Pretty similar in overall length to both of those. And now we have a Facebook notification that sounded like. And we will bring out, too many computers on. I thought I had them all muted. Sorry about that. We have the Kershaw Tumbler, another new for 2020 model. And yeah, I didn't do it right that time. I've been telling everybody how easy this thing is to spidey flick, and then I just screwed up. The Highball. You can see much larger than the Highball. and just a little bit larger than the tumbler. This is a Dmitry Sinkovich design, also D2 out of China, and I think, if I remember right, nearly the same price, maybe a bit cheaper. And then I have a habit of trying to put the wrong knife away lately. And then we're going to bring out a knife that I think, we're going to talk more about this in conclusion. Not necessarily in this version, but in the base version of this knife, the Kershaw bare knuckle. I think this is a knife that is going to cause some problematic comparisons for the Norad, because it is like $73 versus like $68. So for $5 more, this is made in the USA. Aluminum handles, a lot lighter, and 14C 28N steel. This is not that. The standard one is gray. This is one of the 20CV limited edition ones from SMKW. So I don't know if these are still available. They were on sale for a while for like $77 or something like that, but I don't think that's going to be a permanent thing. I think they're usually about $100, but the base one, only $5 more. We'll talk about that a lot more in the conclusions. All right, let's talk about some individual things about this knife. So the blade on this, most important thing about a knife, that's why we have them. D2 steel, and it's fairly thin behind the edge, about 25 thousandths, not too bad. Blade stock is pretty thin. Great edge out of the box, I do have to say. I was very impressed with the edge. Razor sharp, grinds are all nice and even. It does slice pretty darn well. Very happy with that, and it's definitely not like dainty, because that blade stock thickness is thin, but not too thin. For a good EDC knife, I think that's a perfect blade stock thickness. It works really, really well. No problems with the blade whatsoever, and I do like the look of that coating in there. I just think it looks cool. They did a pretty good job on the sharpening choil on it, before I forget. And they didn't nail it, but it's not too bad. As far as the ergonomics go, pretty darn good. I don't really have many complaints. If I have one little tiny nitpick, I guess it would be that the lock bar is fairly thin. It's not jimped though. You can still access it really well, but it's a little thin. If you're really bearing down after a long time, you might start to notice that. No hot spot from the clip, really. I wouldn't mind if this jimping was moved up a little bit, but it would be on a thinner part of the blade, so maybe that wouldn't be as good as I think that it is. But my thumb wants to land right here, and wouldn't mind having a little bit of jimping there, but another little minor thing. I guess this could be an ergonomic issue depending on your hands. I don't feel it at all, but when the knife is just open and you go across this, it's kind of sharp. You don't notice it when the knife is closed, but it's just that one little edge right there, just on that one little flap. They could have knocked that down a little bit. But again, not really an ergonomic issue. I don't really notice it. Now, as far as the carry goes, well, it's really good, except for the 5.2 ounces. It is a heavy knife for the size of it. Is it a heavy knife overall? No, absolutely not. I have lots of knives that are heavier than this, but for the size of it, it's a bit of a porker. I will say that they did a really good job of getting that flipper tab out of the way. It's very, very small. Hand glides right past that. I've never even touched the flipper tab. I've been carrying this for a couple days and never even touched the flipper tab on it. Really like that a lot. They did use recessed screws. Yay! In the deep carry pocket clip. I get so mad sometimes, especially at Kershaw. They're one of the #1 offenders that doesn't use recessed screws in their pocket clips. In the deep carry clips, this is on the bare knuckle. Nice deep carry clip, no recessed screws, so it still kind of notches when it goes in your pocket. They didn't mess that up with this one. Very, very good job. Really do like that a whole lot. So it carries pretty good, other than the weight. It's also nice and slim, all that stuff. It carries fine. Action on it is actually really, really good. I do really enjoy the action on this. As I said, I did take this apart. I did make it a little bit better by replacing that grease, but not a huge dramatic difference. You'll see if you watch that disassembly. I show what it was like, before and after, and you'll see how much of an improvement I made or not. Can get that flipper tab really good, even though it is small. There's a proper amount of jimping on there. It is definitely a light switch. It's not a push button. And you can use this fuller to spidey flick it, thumb flick it, all those things. And it works really well at all of them. So, hey, I got a thumb flick first try. I suck at thumb flipping. But I do like that. It makes an excellent sound, too. It's one of my favorite things about this knife. It is a very authoritative, cool sound. I do like that a whole lot about it. One of the best sounding Kershaws I've heard in a really long time. I do really like that a lot. But that brings us to our conclusions. What are my conclusions? $68. I mean, $58. I would probably be recommending this a lot more. I still recommend it. I still think it's a really good knife. If somebody pulled it out of their pocket, I'd be like, oh, nice knife. It's still a good knife, but 68's really pushing it. And I'm not going to even try and compare it to, I know I'm getting the comments, you can get a Chinese whatever for 45, but A, it's probably not a frame lock, and B, a lot of those companies are, good luck with warranty. Not talking about Civivi and stuff like that. Those are big major manufacturers, but you're not getting frame locks down in this price range very much. So if you just really want a frame lock, then this is probably a really good deal. But except for the bare knuckle, it's a subframe lock. It's really close to it. You still have, steel on steel with this little steel bar that screws in. And again, in the 14C28N version, $5 more. It's lighter. It's bigger, if that matters to you. Yeah, I would probably recommend this a lot more as a budget Kershaw if the bare knuckle didn't exist. And I guess that's really the big problem here, is that they played themselves because they just didn't make something quite as good as the bare knuckle. USA made, all that stuff, versus Chinese made. You still get a Kershaw warranty, doesn't matter where it's made. They still hold up equally their end of the bargain on the warranties. But yeah, recommend if this didn't exist. Maybe you want D2 instead of 14C28, or you really want a frame lock. If you want one of those two things, then this is good. If you just want a really good EDC knife in that $65 to $75 range, and you really want a Kershaw, get that. Hope you guys have enjoyed this, and now we'll be on to the disassembly, where you can watch me take this thing apart. Okay, so now we're moving on to the disassembly portion of this Kershaw Norad. I have not done the full review on it yet. I'm filming this in the past, which it'll be in your future. I've already done the review, but first impressions are it's pretty good. So the action's pretty good. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It's set it up really well, very snappy. Action's pretty good, but you guys have been anticipating this, and let's see if we can make the action look better. And but if people asking for this review, maybe you want to see it torn apart. So let's get started. Oh, tape up the blade for the volunteer OSHA enforcement officers that sometimes plague my comments. So I gotta level this table out a little bit. This is a fairly new setup for me. Wow, look at how perfectly I tore that tape off. That is good. There's still a bit of, just a tiny millimeter tip there. Fold that over. Safety first. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. Put my reading spectacles on. This shouldn't be too difficult. I'm not expecting there to be any real issues with it. It should be pretty straightforward. This is a T6. And we'll do the T6s first then. Just going to need a T6 and a T8, it looks like. Wish these were all T8s, but alas, they are not. Cool. I don't have to hold one on the other side. That's always nice. Looks like they have just a little bit of blue thread locker on there. That is acceptable. Cool. Put those up there. I do love these compartments. They're very handy. If you guys want to see my maintenance stuff, I was going to update the video. I did one quite a while ago, and where I highlighted everything. I was going to update it, but I went back and watched it, and I don't need to. It's all the same stuff pretty much. So I'll link to that down below, or put it in the suggested videos at the end, and you guys can go check that out. I don't like to take a lot of time with these because I'm not going to do disassemblies for every review, but I am going to some of them. Ooh, is that just grease? Ugly grease. All right, let's see if we can get this sucker apart. That's coming right off. Whoop, kabang! It's got a lot of greasiness on it, so glad I'm taking this apart. I think we're gonna be able to make this action a lot better. And that's pretty gross feeling stuff. Gross looking stuff too. Take that out. Nice D-shaped pivot. Are you gonna come free for me? Yes, you are. Beautiful bastard. Okay. All right, anything else we wanna pour some alcohol on? Nope, I think we're good. So get all that. And we'll get the pivot screw as well, just because I put my own Loctite on. It looks like there's no Loctite on that, but we'll still put it down here anyway and clean it off a little bit. And just give all these parts a good rub. You can see a simple ball bearing system. This is going to be a really quick one. Fine, even the Chinese Kershaws are usually easy to take apart if the screws aren't Loctited to holy heck, because they don't use the best screws. They do have a tendency to use some soft screws. Some of their T6s are really soft. So as long as they didn't Loctite them to hell and back, they're usually pretty fine. Yeah, glad I took it apart. This was a brand new rag. That's messy. Let's see what it looks like when we get into here. Not as bad. What is this? What's on the other side? I guess it's just more of that grease they put in there. I can get that out, so I'm going to. Use this little jeweler's tool. Kind of interesting, on a stainless steel frame lock, they still put washers in it, so that's cool. If you'll come out of there, if you fight me too much more, you're just going to be the way you are. It's like trying to pick a penny up off the floor. There we go. I'll do the same over here. Probably easier if I take the grease off first, but... And this cat hair. What really annoys me about finding cat hairs when I'm doing videos is all those cat hairs are from the cat that doesn't even like me. If it was my sweet, sweet boy, I wouldn't mind, but it's not. It's my jerk cat, the fat one. She must just come around up here and rub on all my stuff at night. There we go. Yeah, that's some heavy grease they have on there. Not a fan, but we can fix that. I was trying to lean them up like this because they're really hard to pick up if you don't. Like I said, it's like picking up a penny off from a linoleum floor. All right, clean off the blade here. Little heat mark there on that blade. I don't know what the GD stands for. You don't see it when you're actually using the knife. And yet again, doing one of these videos, know I'm doing it, have more Q-tips downstairs and keep forgetting to bring them up. We did manage to find them even during these trying times. My wife bought a snot load of them the last time she was there. Approximately snot load. Not quite a bunny boat load, but a snot load. All right. I think that's all clean enough. I told you this wasn't going to take long. We'll put the pivot back in first so I don't wind up pushing that washer right out again, because you could see it didn't line up completely perfect. Wait, that is the correct side. Okay. Let me make sure. Memory serves me at least that well. Shiny side up, you can always kind of tell on these. And again, if you really want to get them better, they're stainless steel, but I can still probably polish those up for them too. Gonna use, just for a change of pace, I'm gonna use a nano oil today because I still have a bunch of this and I still like it a lot. I've mostly been using the KPL, but I do like these. I've been using the KPL because of the KPL heavy, but we're gonna try something here in a moment. I use the 85 weight instead of the KPL heavy for the same exact purpose I use the KPL heavy for. There's one little drop there, one little drop there. I don't want to go too nuts. And are we ready to drop the blade on? Yes. I told you this wasn't going to take long. And then make sure I got anything cleaned off of this detent ball. I can't remember if I hit that or not. And then we'll pull out the 85, which is a thick oil, so it will stick here. Come on, there we go. Don't want to get too much of it. There we go. Just a nice thick oil so that it just sticks there as you're putting everything else back together. And then we're going to do back to the 10. You don't need much of that heavy. That may even be a bit much. Well, this isn't called the heavy, the 85, whatever. Just gonna do that. But this again, you can see where it was marked. Do that. Probably should have put the marked side down on the other side instead of the shiny side. Didn't think about that. Oh well. We'll see if it matters or not. Man, there is still 6 kinds of crap doesn't matter. I mean, this is coated stainless steel, but I'll know that it's there. And it will bother me until the end of my days, or until I get rid of this knife, which I think I'm probably going to have it quite a while. I do actually quite enjoy it. I do have to admit. I've only been carrying it for like a day right now. I'll carry it for at least another one before I do the review. But I do like it. Nice thing about being stuck inside. No, didn't scratch the thing. That was a good little fumble there, Bri. The best thing about doing reviews during this lockdown is I can knock them out in a couple of days instead of taking a week, because I can just spend time flipping a knife and messing with it. And that is nice. I'm going to be a bad boy and not put Loctite on the body screws. As I said before, I've never lost a body screw, so I know what happens. I know I should, but alas, I do not. I could have taken it apart a lot more, but I'm not. This T6 is getting pretty worn out. It's going to need to get replaced soon. I should probably order them on Amazon now, because who knows when the heck they're going to get here. There we go. Yeah, that's getting pretty... I'll use this one. Yep, that one's slipping too. Maybe it's just I think maybe just these screws aren't the best. They went back on fine though. They got plenty of tension on them. All right, remove the tape. Wow, wow, danger, sharp blade. Ooh, yeah, that's better. Tighten up just a little bit more. It's just a hair off center. There we go. I am Mr. Fumble Fingers today. Oh yeah, that is better than it was. That is better than it was. So I will say, if you're watching the review, and previously it's going to be like this, and I will probably mention that I did take it apart and made it a little bit better, that you'll be able to go back and look and see what it was like when I got it. Man, it makes a good sound. Yeah, liking that. Cool. Good knife, even better. All right, hope you guys have enjoyed this review. Again, go to Southern Edge Knife Works, use the code SDSEK at checkout, get 15% off and free shipping. Thanks for watching. I've been Brian. Have a good one.